Hi everyone, this is Tammy with Life Began in a Garden, and today we are going to play with some rust water, and these are the results that you can get when you use rust water and plant material. There are many different looks. Sometimes the rust water turns the print black, and sometimes it leaves some of the green in there. And then other times it gives it kind of a patina look. And sometimes it does a little bit of all three. This is a sweet gum leaf, and that's printed on material, or I guess you would say imprinted on material, because it was just a leaf on there that made that. And this one, that's probably my favorite kind of leaf to use, and it is from a honeysuckle bush. And it does a really good image front and back, both sides, and it also always gives a really good color. So you will be seeing that one a lot. This one is from an elder tree. A lot of people call it an elderberry, but this is the tree that grows the elderberry. And on this one, it left it green even. This is an Osage orange tree. I have all of these trees on my property. And this one, the leaf had a little hole in it, and you can see it there. It picks up every little detail. Again, it printed front and back. And that's the honeysuckle bush again. Just look at the detail in that. It's unbelievable what it does. And on that one there, it looks like a little shadow behind it because it kind of bled a little bit as I was sending it through the press, but it is beautiful. I actually even love that part about it. And see, that's the back side of the material. And as you can see, it does a beautiful job. It's just unbelievable, and it's so quick to do. There are so many uses that you can use these for. Some of them I'm going to use to make a gardener's apron. Some of them, even some of the material ones, I'm going to use as pages in my scrapbooks or journals. Some of them I don't even know what I'm going to do with yet. Others I'm going to frame and put the identifier on there for what it is, and actually use it for decoration in my house. And like I said, I don't even know my long-term goal for this. So what I really want to do is to do different leaves, a bunch of squares of them, and use them to make a quilt. Maybe not a full-size quilt, but a picnic quilt. I think that would be a great size, and it would be very appropriate for a picnic quilt. So long term, I'm hoping to do that, but right now I'm just having fun playing and being amazed by what these plants do. I will take you through all the steps on how to do this. I do want to tell you that if you print on material, once you get through rinsing it off, you do need to actually wash it. I just hand wash mine, and I'm actually using Dawn dishwashing liquid. But I do wash it because the rust water over time will deteriorate the material. So if you plan to make something with it that you're going to be wearing or using long term, then I would wash it. So far, the ones that I have washed have turned out great, and they didn't lose their color. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make your own rust water. And these are the things that you'll need. You'll need rusty parts, like there's nails and screws and drill bits in there. Anything you have that's rusty that will fit in the container that you're going to use. And I'm using a jelly jar. I just wrote rust water 11/12/23 because that's today's date, and you need to date when you made it so that you know when it's ready and you know how long you've had it, even though this lasts for a very long time. Okay, in this measuring cup, I have water and then white vinegar. So the first thing we're going to do is pour our rusty nails and stuff in the jar. Okay. And then this has the water in it, so we're going to pour that in there. I'm trying to make enough to fill up this jar, so I'm just guessing at how much, but this is about 1/4 of a cup. And you need to use equal parts water and vinegar. So since I used 1/4 of a cup there, I'm going to use 1/4 of a cup of the vinegar. And what you need to do is just make sure that your equal parts water and vinegar are enough to cover up the rusty things that you have in there. And they are covering it up, so now all you have to do is put the lid on it and wait. I just store it away. Make sure that you keep it out of reach of children and out of reach of your pets. Wouldn't be a good thing for either one of them to drink. Also wouldn't be good for it to get knocked over and the jar broken. And you do need to use some type of glass container. Don't use metal because it'll rust also. Okay, so we're just going to put this away and we're going to wait at least 4 to 5 days, and you'll be able to tell when your water vinegar mixture looks like this. It's got a deep brown color. These are the different lines because I have been using this, and it kind of forms a ring each time the water sits there for a while. So I've used it a bit, but it's going to last for a long time. So that's all there is to making the rust water. Once you have it made and your water looks like this one, then it's ready to use and you're ready to have fun. Okay. This is the machine that I use to press the flowers. You can buy these at Amazon, but if you just Google it, you'll find it different places, and they cost around $90 to $100 to buy them. But they are so useful, and this is just one way that I use them, and it actually isn't even something that they say you can do with it. It's actually for die cuts. You can cut out material and cut out paper. You can emboss paper. I'm sure you've seen different die cut machines before, and that's what this is. But this is a use for it that they don't say you can do, but you can. Okay, so here in that dish that I have sitting there, it's a baking dish, and I only use it for crafts. So choose something that you're not going to use again to cook with because it also leaves a rust stain on it. So I put 2 cups of tap water and 1 tablespoon of the rust water that I showed you just a minute ago in there, and then I stir it up with that spatula, and I only use that spatula for doing this also. Okay, so here I am rolling the paper through there that has the leaf in it that you saw while I was talking. As you can see, you just roll it through and then roll it back. And when I get it back there, I check it, and I don't feel like that it's got enough of an imprint on it because it was a little too easy to roll it. So once I check it and see that it's not what I want it to be, then I put it back in there again. See, I didn't open it up. I just can tell from the outside that it's not a good enough print. So I put it back in there and put a piece of cardstock on top of it. And that gives it some more pressure when it rolls through, because it makes it just a little bit thicker, and that's what I need it to be. So I'm going to roll it back through again. You do need to make sure that all your little trays underneath there are lined up and one's not sticking out or anything. And if you do use pressure, like the cardboard piece on top, then put it over, make sure it covers the whole area where the plant is, because the plant needs to have even pressure all over it. So if you didn't get it up at the top or you didn't get it down at the bottom, then that part's not going to have the same pressure that the rest of the plant had. Okay, so now it should be ready, and you can see when you take it out, you can see a little bit of the imprint there, and that doesn't look like much right now. From the inside, you can see that the print is better. You just peel the leaves off, and sometimes the stem will pull the leaves off if you pull on the stem first. Sometimes the whole thing will just come off, and sometimes it breaks and you have to take it off in parts, and sometimes even you have to take each individual leaf off. If there's anything stuck on there, just see if you can scrape it off, but if you can't, once you stick it in the water, it loosens it and it comes off anyway, and it doesn't affect the picture. Now watch this. Look how quickly that changed just by dipping it in the rust water. And if that's what you like, and that was what I like, then you need to immediately rinse it with just cold tap water. If you don't do that step, then the rust continues to work on the paper, and it'll turn the paper darker, which would be fine if it was a little bit darker, but it also makes the plant darker. So if you like what you see and you want it to stay just like that, then rinse it. And then just take it and lay it on something that maybe like a towel or something to help absorb some of the moisture that's on it, and just let it lay there and dry. And I forgot to tell you that you really do need to wear gloves when you're working with this, because it can stain your fingernails and also stain your hands. And I'm not very good at wearing gloves, so that's why I started out without them, because I forgot about it. But I do want you to know that that can happen. So if you don't want to have to try to clean it off your hands, then put the gloves on. Okay, this is a piece of cardstock, and it's folded in half, and it's already kind of a manila color. And I'm trying to decide what plant I want to use on it. When you do decide what plant you want, then put it on there, place it the way you want it, and then close it up. And then put it underneath those. There's 2 clear trays there. So it needs to be in between the two of them. And then if you need to add more cardstock to it to make it thicker, like I'm doing there, you're putting it on top of everything. And then again, roll it through, and you can see that it's got a bit of resistance to it. It's a little hard to roll it. You don't want it to be next to impossible to roll it, but you do want it to have a little bit of resistance, and that tells you that it's pressing everything down good. Sometimes if it doesn't do good, sometimes you have to actually roll it through twice, and that makes a difference if you do roll the second time. But if you roll it too much, it can cause the plant to kind of bleed out the juices from inside of it, and although sometimes that looks good, you don't really want it doing that. So if it's got enough pressure, then usually the one time of rolling it through and then back out is enough. So here I'm having to pick off each individual leaf, and that's even with gloves on. You can see that it's really not hard to pick them off. And there's another little plant part that was left on there. Okay, it's a pretty green color, but the left side there doesn't have much detail to it at all. So let's see what it does when it goes in the water. And notice I'm not leaving them in there very long at all. I'm just leaving it long enough for it to pull the detail that I want it to pull. And then rinse it off. And I'm only showing you for a second before I rinse it because I don't want it to keep working on it and make it too dark. But the more you play around with this, the better you will get at it, and you'll figure out when you want to pull it out. And it's really just up to you and what your preference is on how dark it gets. And then if you get your hands wet, and of course you will, then dry them off so that the water's not on the next thing that you're fixing to do, because as it's going through the press, it kind of needs to stay dry. Okay, so get everything ready for your next one. And this one is on material. So that's 100% cotton. And you can't use material that's any bigger than those trays are once you fold the material in half, because half will be on the bottom and half will be on the top. But it's got to be able to go through that machine. So you're kind of limited there on the size of material that you can use. And that's why I said earlier that I'd like to make squares and do a quilt, because I haven't figured out yet, if there's a way, I haven't figured out how you make it any bigger and it still be one piece. So I have my leaves on there the way I want them. And then you put the clear top on it again. And the resistance. And you just move it around till you get it to where it covers all of the plant material. And then we're doing the same thing again, just roll it through and then back. And once you get it back through, you can check it and see if it's the way you want it, or roll again like I'm doing there. Okay. So you can see, even under that tray, you can see that it has printed through. And that's pretty like that. It's light, but it's still pretty. And when you open it up, it's just really pretty. So now you just peel all the plant material off again. If those leaves come off in whole sections, if you will put them in a book or something to keep them flat, then you can actually use those again just as a leaf in some of your crafts. And they're pressed nice and flat, and they dry very quickly that way because most of the moisture has been pressed out of them. And I don't know exactly what it is that makes this work so well with the rust, but I think that the rust water reacts to the tannins that are in the leaves of the plant and pulls all that detail. And look how fast that was. And that one's giving kind of a patina look, and I'm going straight to rinsing it because I don't want it getting any darker. So it gives a really pretty patina look. And the rust water also preserves the color. Once you get that final color that the rust water does to it, it preserves it. And that's how that you can actually wash it and not worry about washing your picture away. Okay, now look at that. That is just gorgeous. It looks like a very nice painting or sketching. But you have 4 of them there on the front and the back. It's just unreal. So, like I said, if you use material, though, you do need to make sure that you wash it. And so you lay it on a towel or something to let it dry. And then I actually iron it after it's dried. I iron it. And then if you are going to be using it for something that you wear or something, like if you were using it in making curtains or something, I don't know how you would use it that way, but anything like that, then it does need to be washed. And just use your regular laundry detergent, but I still think I would wash it by hand instead of washing in the machine. I haven't actually tried that yet. So here's the next one. I'm doing, I think on this one, an arrangement of 2 different leaves, I believe is what this one is. So you can mix different ones together and you'll get different looks. You may not get a complete patina on all of them because some plants have more tannins in them than others do. And they react differently to the rust water when you put them in there. It's also different on material than it is on paper. So it's kind of like every one is a surprise. You never really know what you're going to get. The leaves that I'm using here are pretty dependable on, I can pretty much depend that they are going to give me that patina look and maybe even a little bit of a green look in there. But there are others. It also depends on the stage that the leaf is in. And right now we're in fall, and it's really hard to find leaves that I can even do this with right now because most of the trees have already lost their leaves. But the ones that you do find are going through that stage, and so they'll be falling off their trees soon too. And the stage that the leaf is in makes a difference on the color that you get. So basically what I'm trying to say is you just never know what you're going to get. But for the most part, it's a pleasant surprise. There's been a few that I've done that I've had to just throw away because I really didn't like them at all. But most of them that I've done, I have kept. And even if it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, it still was worth using in some project. Okay, so here we go again with this one. Again, it's got a decent look on the back side of it. And it's got detail, it's just hard to see it. But once it goes into that rust water and gets its little dunk in there, it comes out with all this gorgeous detail. Okay, so are you ready? There we go. Just like that. In like a second or 2 seconds. And it's done. I've just never done anything, worked with anything that gave results that quickly and that beautiful. And so if you don't already have one of these machines, then yes, you would probably need to buy one of these in order to be able to do this, unless you have something else that can create that kind of pressure, because that's really all you're needing. The machine is not electric, it's just manual. It doesn't heat up or anything. It's just applying pressure to the plant, and it's enough pressure to get it to do this. Kind of reminds me of the old wash machines and the wringer that was on there, for those of you who remember back that far, or maybe your mom had one. Anyway, it reminds me of that. When you wring the clothes out, you send it through that wringer. It's the same kind of concept. So if you have anything that you can do that with and get that kind of pressure on it, then you wouldn't need this machine for this. Also, while I'm thinking about it, when you're finished with all of this and you're ready to dump out that water, I don't know that it would do anything to your drains, but I think it's a good idea just to take it outside and dump it out instead of dumping it down your drain. So just keep that in mind. Okay, doing one more arrangement here, and I think this is the last one. I think I play with this a bit before I get it the way I want it to be, but you can just create mixing different ones together or use all the same leaf. And I decided I didn't want that one, so I put another one on there that's really similar to the one that's on it already. And then just position them the way you want them. Keep in mind what you plan to do with it, if you have a plan for what you're going to do with that piece of material, and maybe you don't want your leaf over all the way against the edge, or maybe you don't want it all the way against the fold. If you know what you're going to do with it, then think about that. Otherwise, just play for a while, and then when you come up with a project, then keep in mind that the placement does matter of where you put those leaves at. So I put that there, and I was thinking I would use it in there, but it's too much, and I end up taking it out because I don't want all that in there. And sometimes when you overlap your leaves too much, it causes them to bleed out too much, and you just have a big blob of something there that you can't really tell what it is. So even though you can overlap one leaf over the other, if there's too much of it there, then it doesn't give you the look that you're hoping that it would give you. So just another thing to keep in mind while you're doing this. Okay, I think that is it. I've got it positioned the way I want it. And this one's ready to go through. And then this, I believe, is the last one that I demonstrate with. And then I'll show you some of the things that I've done with some of these plants, some of the plant material or pictures that I got from this. If you have any questions about any of this after watching it, feel free to ask me. Try to keep up with them, and I will answer you as soon as I see your question. I will try to give you the answer for it. I think that probably some of you all have one of these machines to do this with. If you don't, do think about, if you can afford to buy one, think about adding it to your craft supplies, because it has many, many uses. And also, when you're finished doing all this, you need to clean off those trays, because they kind of bleed onto the trays as well, if you can see some of that greenish look on that. And so you just need to clean those off. Remember, it's not rust that's on there, it's just the green plant material, but it still needs to be washed off before your next use. Okay. There it goes. As soon as you get the material wet all over, pull it out and rinse it off. And if you want to sample it or test it, I guess, and see how it would do if you didn't go through this rinse stage, you could try one and do that. And if you like that and you're okay with leaving it that way, then you could avoid this last stage here that I'm doing. And like I said, I don't care if it turns the material a little bit darker, but once I get the look I want on the leaves, I want to freeze it there and not let it go any farther. Okay, so I will be drying all of these and then ironing them and then showing you. Okay, so here, this one I'm going to use as a page. That's on paper. I'm going to use it as a page in a journal. This is a white oak leaf, and it is also on paper. It's just copy paper, and I'm going to use it. That one looks like a tree that's lost its leaves. I'm going to use that in a journal. And this one I'm making a tag out of, and that's the actual leaf, one that has been pressed, and I just saved it, and once it dried, I glued it on there. And I used, that machine has this that comes with it, and it's got kind of a starter kit that comes in it, and then pieces that you can buy. So those are good for making tags, and that's what I used it for. And then this one is a strawberry leaf, and I made this tag with it. I really enjoyed making that. I think it turned out really well. And it's something you can do with any of the little ones that you do, any of the little leaves. You can do something like this. And that would be great to stick in a pocket in a journal, or just to keep as a bookmark or whatever. This was a memo pad that I had, and I did those leaves on it. I didn't show that, but it actually kept its color there. And the one on the left is a cedar. And that is a library card. I wanted to see, this was a test, I wanted to see if the ink would bleed or not. And it didn't. It looks really good. It kept its ink and made a beautiful picture. And this one, I'm showing you this so you know how it turns the paper if you use straight rust water, not diluted in the water. So the water that you have in your jar, once it has finished processing, if you dip a paintbrush in there and you brush the water over your cardstock, and this was just white cardstock, if you brush the water over it and then front and back, and then just lay it out to dry, this is the look that you get. So it's kind of an orangey yellow look, and it works great for some things, but for the most part, I don't really want it that dark. But the one that I did with my Forger's Journal on one of the previous videos, that's how I did it. And these are all the different leaves, and they're just beautiful. In some of these, it looks like a leaf is actually laying there, but it isn't. These are all just imprints of the leaf. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you take the time to try some of this. May God bless you, and have a great day.